to. And Mazeski can lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we do not have a mayor's opening comments here, but I'm gonna make one anyway. So we had an item just come in that, you need a resolution on before the end of the month. So I'm thinking of having another special meeting next Tuesday. It should be a, 15-minute meeting or less. It's all it does is we need a certified resolution adopted before June 30th to apply for a grant to design a building on the Risden property. And it has to be done. It's too late to put it on for tonight. So is that where we think 7:27, 10-minute meeting? I mean 6:27.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah. 6:30 or 7? 6:30.
Well, 6:30 is good.
The earlier the better.
Okay, so Nancy, we're gonna have a special meeting on next Tuesday, 6:27, 6:30 for that resolution that just came in. If there's something else, maybe I'll put it on, but it will be a very short meeting.
All right, thank you.
All right, so the main purpose of tonight is that we're gonna have a presentation from Kleinfelder and Richter and Keegan on our downtown development project. So tonight will be the third and hopefully the final review of our downtown plan. And as we all know, the plan accomplishes three major things. The first thing it does is that it resolves a host of mostly stormwater, but also sanitary sewer issues that have plagued the west side of Naugatuck for many years and create havoc in the downtown area when we have a lot of rainfall in a short period of time. Number two, by making those improvements, we are also paving the way and fixing the infrastructure so that we will be ready for substantial new development in the downtown area. And we need to provide remedies so parcel B and the surrounding properties can be developed. And thirdly, we're going to do major significant upgrades to our streetscapes. And this project deals with Church Street and Maple Street. But let's not forget that this project is tied in with our development of parcel B, the Connecticut Community Challenge Grant, the Water Street, portion of Rubber Avenue, Old Firehouse Road, the new road we're going to build, and in addition, our Rubber Avenue project. So this project is the nuts and bolts and the guts of the intertwining of all those projects into one. And again, there are a lot of moving parts, and the utility work is really already underway. So if you're on Church Street now, you'll see the Connecticut Water Company is engaged in totally upgrading their lines. We're going to be dealing with Eversource Electric, Eversource Gas, sanitary sewers, stormwater, fiber, and others. So this project coordinates all of those projects into one major downtown project. So, I'm going to turn it over to, Kleinfelder. And, they're gonna start off and take us through a presentation. I think Neil, it's best if we take questions as we go. And, let's go nice and slow. We'll take questions as we go. And, then when we get to the end, we'll discuss it. But, why don't you take it from there?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Good evening, Burgess. I'm Neil Burgess. I'm a senior program manager with Kleinfelder. With me tonight is Mike Segan. He's a principal with Richter and Segan. So Mike and I are gonna walk you through. We're excited to walk you through the progress we've made on the project and bring you up to speed. And as the mayor indicated, answer any questions that you have. So I'm gonna kick things off, then I'm gonna turn it over to Mike, and then I'll take over towards the end, but please jump in if you have any questions. So quickly, we'll talk a little bit about the stormwater improvements. Again, the mayor did a great job kind of introing why we're here. Mike's going to kind of dig into some of the detail, the roadway and streetscape improvements. So we've got some nice renderings so you can see what you're going to get. And then I'll just, as a summary, we'll walk through the costs and kind of what the schedule is going to look like, hopefully moving forward. So, as the mayor indicated, we came into this, collectively came into this with the understanding that there was significant issues in the downtown area, in this west side of Naugatuck, really drainage issues in particular. And, the mayor and Jim and Jeremy really explained kind of the dynamic of what was happening down here and what they saw, when they saw it, so we kind of took that back and studied the systems, modeled the systems, performed hydraulics, and really found significant issues, right? So there's three goals here. One is to fix that, essentially address those issues. Two was really we wanted to make sure that the surrounding infrastructure was also support the development plans that the borough also has. So is there enough capacity in the system? How's the drainage? Really, the third thing is how is parcel B going to integrate with the downtown area? So really our approach to the drainage, the stormwater drainage, and ultimately the sanitary here was to address those three components, right? So what we found was Church Street, the drainage system was undersized. It had conditional issues, so like broken pipes, segmented pipes, probably been in the ground for 100 years, parts of the system, at least. Maple Street, it wasn't so much the overall capacity of the pipe, but there was some bottleneck segments there due to repairs over the years. So essentially our plan here on Church Street is we're upsizing, we're increasing the size of the drainage, replacing all the basins, modern basins, essentially brand new system. We're also extending the system to the north of it. So based on some of the understanding of what was happening, the dynamic of the flooding that was happening, we looked at, addressing that by extending the system a little bit further north. Again, on Maple Street, we've got some repairs. We've also, you'll hear a little bit more about the green infrastructure improvements. So really part of our goal, part of the borough's goal and really requirement is to incorporate stormwater quality throughout the project. So we're doing some green infrastructure improvement.
Yeah, let me stop you for 1 second. So on the agenda, you'll see item 6, which is some additional money that we've received that reduces our cost for this project by implementing some green aspects to our design that Neil is going to talk about. And when we get to item 6, in fact, there's a memo over there that you could hand out on item 6. Okay, so that explains pretty much what we're doing to try and reduce the cost of this project and have a greener project. And all of those items and costs are incorporated into everything Neil is presenting. We're going to vote separately on item 6.
So all the drainage on Church Street, really right to its outlet here. Essentially fixing the issues on Maple, really right outside here, down here is where the issue is. When you see us digging here, you know what we're doing. And then essentially what was happening is you had some local drainage from back here and from over here that was going into the old pump station on parcel B. So we extended this drainage segment to capture that, made some modifications here, so that no more of these stormwater flows were actually going on to parcel B. And the developers there kind of need a clean slate, so having to deal with the borough's stormwater coming through that site was not what they wanted to do. So we're able to make those drainage modifications to really give a clean slate for parcel B, so they can design that correctly and how they want to design that. And then lastly was the sewer. The mayor mentioned, you know, really we're doing a wall-to-wall improvement of Church Street. And so when we looked at the sewer system there, which is the sanitary sewer systems, over 70 years old. Initially, it was working. There weren't really capacity issues, but based on the age, the pipe is brittle. So, you know, you're tearing up that road. We're putting in new, like Eversource has put a new gas line in there. We are, Connecticut Water's put in a new water main there. We've got Frontier with the modifying their structures and their ductwork. We've got Eversource modifying their structures, their ductwork. You've got our new drainage pipe run right down the middle. Only prudent thing to do is to replace that sewer at the same time. So you're gonna get a brand new sewer. We're lining some of the services and we're replacing other services based on their location, what type of conflicts there are with other utilities. So you're really getting you know, essentially all new utilities up the Church Street corridor. You know, so the investment that we're making now should last a long, long time. I think that's any questions on the sewer or stormwater improvements, and this is similar to what we wanted to do at the very beginning of design. I was up here in front of you, kind of telling us here's our goals and our objectives. Essentially, for the most part, that's what we were trying to do.
I'm assuming you'll get to it at some point, but how do we handle business access?
So, we're going to definitely maintain business access for pedestrians. We spoke with each of the business owners. We came out when we were about 60% done with the design. We sent out flyers and let them know we were coming. And for the most part, we met with most of the business owners. They were very receptive to discussing their impacts on their businesses, but they'll be required to maintain traffic there. Parking is probably going to be the biggest issue. There's going to be parking spots that are temporarily lost as they progress to construction. But it's going to be it's definitely going to be a challenge for the contractor, for the inspector, to work with the businesses to ensure that it's communicated properly. Usually it comes down to communication, you know, back and forth between the contractor. So once we have the contractor, we understand exactly how he's going to go about doing things. We have controls in place to only let him do certain things that certainly maintain access to the businesses. I think they see the benefit. You know, most of the owners and users there see the long-term benefit and are willing to deal with a little bit of inconvenience, but certainly it will be a bit of an inconvenience on them during the actual construction.
Will there be any businesses that might have to shut down for a little while because they don't have access to the sewers or water?
No, they'll be probably temporary. You know, when they turn over a service, so let's take the water, for example. They're laying most of the new water line next to the old one, so they can quickly switch over the service. So they may lose the service for an hour.
Right.
And same with the sanitary sewer.
Thank you.
All right, so that's Mike's going to take over for a little while and kind of walk through what the roadway and streetscape improvements are going to look like. No, he's moving it.
Right.
Just point.
Good evening. Neil said, I'm Mike Segan. We are the landscape architects and urban designers on the project team. I wanted to start with this photograph as an introduction because I think it's a great photograph that represents the ambiance we're trying to create downtown streetscape. All the materials that we're selecting, the lighting, specialty lighting, plantings, street trees, pavement, outdoor furniture, the design of these outdoor spaces all work together to create, I think, a much more festive and inviting atmosphere, a more pedestrian-friendly environment. And all will go to increase activity in the downtown, which is a good thing for merchants and business people. This is from 30,000 feet, the overall streetscape plan. I'm just going to give you a quick overview on this. Now we're going to get into some more details and graphics. This is the plan. It's really an advancement and refinement of the plan that I presented to this board back in the fall. You remember, it was preliminary design. And we've made some great progress here in moving this forward. The start is at the intersection of Church and Rubber and extends all the way down the extent of Church Street north, across the front of the green. I think this is, I know it's Division Street, also in front of Town Hall, and then extends. Sorry, it's okay. Shows a little bit of larger. Then extends from the intersection of Church and Maple down Maple all the way to the Memorial Bridge. The plan takes a really comprehensive, complete streets throughout the downtown. It looks at roadway pavement, traffic calming, improving pedestrian circulation, widening sidewalks, narrowing crosswalks. It also looks at linkages from Church Street to the surrounding projects, including the mayor mentioned parcel A and B. The new rail station, it'll be located down here, and just some of the connections through the alleyways and proposed walkways to the parking that supports Church Street. Streetscape improvements include brick sidewalks, more appropriate street trees, which I'll talk about in more detail later. The different types of lighting, ornamental and specialty lighting, outdoor dining and gathering areas, opportunities for sculpture and art. Major part of it is really the transformation of this part of the town green and the intersection right on that. The town green is probably the heart of the downtown area here. And it's one of the most, if not the most significant public space in the world. This is the proposed improvements in a typical stretch of Church Street, showing the application of the streetscape standards along the street. The one-way traffic heading south is maintained with parallel parking on both sides of the street. Granite curb proposed in the brick pavement, the street trees, and again, I'll talk more about them shortly. Addition of ornamental lighting based on the standard fixture, benches, receptacles, site furniture, all kind of start to work together here. The sidewalks have been widened on both sides by a few feet in portions of Church Street, not everywhere. Brick pavements in the herringbone pattern, and we've done something a little special here. We've taken a likeness of the paver that's on Hillside Avenue, the historic paver there, and a replica of that, and repeated it in the pattern of the brick pattern up and down the street. And I think this will give the downtown look something that's very unique to Northern Town, special. This is a section across Church Street where there's an outdoor dining area proposed. This shows a number of the streetscape elements. We'll talk about some of those. And areas, we've incorporated these outdoor dining areas at a few key locations along Church and also along Maple as well. Where there are clusters of restaurants that are kind of strategically located. They would include string or catenary lighting overhead, gives it that festive look. That'll remain up and down the street from a lighting perspective, but also increases the use at nighttime of the outdoor dining areas. The standard streetscape light will be continued throughout, creating a uniform lighting standard in the downtown. There are a few darker areas right now, and those areas will be covered in the new lighting layout. So we'll be addressing that. We're removing existing problematic street trees and proposing new street trees in the entire project area. Each street tree will be selected for its situation and where it's located. Right now, there's one type just throughout the whole downtown, no matter what the application is. We've got almost all the street trees in their application are high branched and narrow upright to maintain views and visibility to storefronts and signage. They also are species that have been selected that don't have the problems that the existing trees do from a breakage point of view, also from litter as well as the odor that you get from those calorie pairs. So a total overhaul of street trees, and each tree has been kind of custom fit to its location. This is a typical bump out for the outdoor dining along Church. We've maintained the access along the sidewalk for pedestrians coming through. This shows a table seat layout with the catenary lighting crisscrossing on top and defining the area. Planters, raised planters along the street to give some separation for outdoor dining from traffic along the street. Street trees that provide canopy and shade of these outdoor dining areas. We've also taken that lighting effect and strung the catenary lighting across the roadway, Church Street, in two key areas between the lighting and the repeating ornamental posts and the century columnar trees on either end. We've created a gateway effect with this lighting, and I think it's really going to celebrate and announce the changes in the festive atmosphere that we're trying to create along the street. As I mentioned, the streetscape is also continued down Maple Street. This is a section on Maple Street right across from the existing parking lot in the Parcel B development. We've worked closely with the Penrose Group and their proposed design so that the two are coordinated and they'll merge seamlessly into one another. We'll continue that coordination as this project progresses. A major intersection is the Water Street, Maple Street intersection as you come under the over the bridge and under the rail overpass. This kind of is the first intersection that you see. It's also where from Water Street you'll access the new rail station and also some of the development of Parcel B, Parcel A farther down the road. With the grouping of restaurants here, delis, the sports bar, and the coffee shop, great opportunity for outdoor dining that we've set up in a couple spots here with the catenary lighting. And it's also a really important intersection to showcase the streetscape components in the streetscape design as well.
Can I ask a question on this slide?
Sure.
Where's the parking? somebody wants to go to Nardelli's or to the sports bar.
Parking is located on this side of the street. I believe there's parking here, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna maintain the parking adjacent to the abutment. The spots in front of the businesses are gonna go away, but they're gonna be essentially, when the Penrose development comes, they'll be there until the Penrose development comes in. There'll be parking that's available there, and then when the Penrose development comes in and the station comes in, there's gonna be additional parking there right along Water Street, all the way to the station.
Rocky, we're gonna make angled parking on the other side of Water Street, going towards the station restaurant. So it'll be, I don't know how many, but way more new spots than the spots that are going away.
And the police department's okay with the angled parking?
The police?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I know they've had concerns in the past. That it's just too dangerous for cars to back out.
Yeah, there's different approaches that we look at, you know, even the direction of the angle, believe it or not, and you know, how that affects in the traffic and the sight lines. So, yeah, we looked at the existing striping there on North Water Street and reinstituting some of that striping there. And as well as the parking that's coming in on New Water Street, that's essentially leading to the new.
It also hasn't been decided yet, but there's a possibility that would be a one-way street.
It's just, I know that Nardelli's and the coffee shop, I mean, you know, in the morning, there's a ton of cars there for the coffee shop. And then at dinner time, Nardelli's cars are coming
Yeah,
in.
the coffee shop shouldn't be affected in terms of right out front, in front of their business. I
Parallel
spoke with
parking
the new owner there.
We preserve all.
Yeah, I spoke with the new owner there and kind of gave her an idea, and we did meet with Nardelli. They did express their concern about how that parking is gonna transition.
Yeah.
Throughout, so we tried to, again, address their overall concerns and kind of try to understand the long-term solution is gonna be.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe this is a spot for angled back-in parking. We did that on a project to a little while. People would much get used to that. It's just so much easier pulling out, and if you have kids and strollers and everything else, it's just so much safer. You're not going around to the back of the car.
No, the only reason I mentioned is I know in the past when it was discussed for like Church Street, the police department has said, you know, that they weren't in favor of that kind of parking.
Well, item.
So as part of this project, we're also gonna address the Maple Street Bridge, and essentially do a rehabilitation to the pavement there, the existing pavers that have failed, and they failed right away. So our plan is to come back and remove those pavers. We looked at trying to essentially put pavers back in that would work, that wouldn't fail. And really, because of the substructure of the bridge, and its historic design and the way they restored it, it really kind of, you know, makes it extremely difficult to have a paver system there that's gonna function correctly, essentially with the drainage. And so what our plan to do is to come back in with a pavement system. This is a bituminous pavement system with a thermoplastic coating, so very similar to the modern crosswalks that you see. So it's essentially a bituminous surface with a treatment at the surface. It's not gonna be slippery, but essentially we're able to add some color to it, essentially, to complement the bridge, kind of similar to the original intent and the original design there. So it'll look like pavers, but essentially it'll be a bituminous section there, and that acts like bituminous pavement. You know, you could cut it if you needed to, you know, and the color is, again, it doesn't last forever. It will fade over time, but you know, basically, based on the conditions, we found this to be the best option. We looked at a bunch of different options here and what the best, most economical, it's the best return to fix the bridge and confident won't have issues in the future.
So this type has been used someplace else
Yeah.
where there's been the curvature and problems with drainage.
Yeah, this is used pretty frequently. It's kind of the modern thing. You see it in a lot of drives, roadways, crosswalks.
Yeah, it's the same crosswalk, same material we used in the crosswalk on North Main Street.
Oh, good,
On
Jim, I was gonna ask
Manhattan.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's excellent, because North Main Street's held really well.
Yeah. since the project I did, so that I was hoping we were gonna go with that.
So we're also adding, so we're gonna add some planters along the side of the bridge as well to kind of complement the planters that are coming along Maple. So it should tie the bridge right into what we're doing on Maple and right up into Church Street essentially.
I did. Went to their annual meeting, I went to every.
I'm gonna end discussion on the streetscape, at the town green area. Really, as I mentioned, probably the most significant space in the borough, in the heart of the downtown area. We're proposing some major changes here, and improvements and upgrades. We want to, as we move forward, the design respects that axial symmetry that really starts way down at the bridge, extends up Maple Street, right through the green, up through Schoolhouse, and even beyond that. So it respects that symmetry on both sides. The design also respects the historic lines of the green, streetscape elements, the pavement, lighting, etc., extend into the green area, highlighting the existing Civil War monument, mountain area. There's new seat walls added that are kind of welcoming spaces at the entrance, and they flank the Civil War monument. You also create a focal point with a proposed holiday tree here on this side, and they raise performance or sculpture platform on the other side as well. So this creates a whole new kind of welcoming entry into the green, yet respects the lines of the green, adds benches and planters with the green itself. Also part of this area is a raised brick paver intersection, letting the streetscape materials come out into the roadway, creating very safe circulation for pedestrians here in this area. And I think it just creates a really strong arrival and welcoming area as you come up Maple Street and arrive in the downtown area. One other feature that's in the town green proposed is an electronic message sign. It would be set, sort of temporary look would be set on a very historical base. The same base are these granite seat walls that match the granite that's both in the curbing, bollards, and in the monuments that are in the green itself.
We do have a question about the green in general. One problem we currently have is outlet accessibility for fairs and events down. And right now, the electrical on the green is questionable at best. Was that factored into
Yes.
design
We
here?
are adding a number of outlets.
Excellent.
Here's that proposed sign on the granite base that mimics this proposed seat walls and the granite that's already historically in the green, flanked by Naugatuck granite sign as well. Here's the message board over there. We are looking at different options to what should read on this. We're going to get the board's input. What your preference is. One is just to say for our logo, Naugatuck events, which is up here. A second option is a welcome to Naugatuck sign.
By the way, Mike, I just don't forget, we're changing our logo. It's a long story, I won't bore you with it tonight. Naugatuck does not mean long tree by the river, so we're gonna fix it, we're gonna have a new logo.
On that.
And,
You're gonna get rid of the trees, run that by the conservation.
no, I didn't, and I won't. I'll make that clear, we're going with the river.
Has a logo been established?
No, we're gonna have it designed You have a young designer who's working on that.
We'll make sure in the plans that we put that in there. A second option is just a welcome to Naugatuck sign, and we kind of repeat what's down by the bridge as we come off the highway. Another one is more you typically see in town greens, town centers, for Naugatuck when it was incorporated. So these are three options. I'm sure there are an infinite amount of other options. Suzanne here would be happy to get any preference or input.
We might ask them how everyone who saw the electronic sign, how they liked it.
I like that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I like the fact of putting on a historical base, not just a big metal
Yeah.
thing.
right,
So-
prototype. Yeah.
yeah.
We got a lot of comments on it.
Then they're all positive.
I haven't seen that much street. I mean, currently the signs we have, both of them were former Eagle Scout projects the kids did. They're meant to be changed by hand. During the winter time, you can't change without snapping the letters. It's really comforting. And you have to have people, you have volunteers to go and keep changing signs. We can have it so it's a couple keyboard strokes to change. That's excellent. It makes life easier for everyone and makes it so we keep it current.
We throw them right in town hall.
What I don't like about it is there's such a mess.
Yeah, we don't want it, I agree, I like welcome to Naugatuck, but
I like that one too.
I'm sorry, which one?
well, I'm just speaking for myself, I prefer welcome to Naugatuck.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I,
Well, no, I think.
welcome to Naugatuck.
Why don't you put the incorporated on there?
You could put that on.
Maybe at the bottom, welcome.
Welcome, Yeah, like the bottom line, just take the fence off, put the logo.
So add this.
Yeah.
Make a hybrid of 2 and 3.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good suggestion. Thank you very much.
And what we'll do, Mayor, is we'll be able to get a proof during construction, so right before they're gonna actually enter, you can kind of get the final blessing on it. See what it looks like.
Yeah.
So everyone agrees.
We'll share the story.
Again, that concludes
Yeah.
the overview of the streetscape plan. I'd be happy to answer any more
I have
questions.
one more question, and I'm glad you guys do the electrical on the green. I know from talking to some businesses downtown before, bike racks. Will there be areas where there will be strategically, not every place, but strategically placed bike racks for those who do?
It's one of those streetscape furniture that we have to.
That's great.
Did the scooters come back? Sure.
That's a private business, if they wanna come back, they can come back. If they don't,
Oh, I
they won't. All right, let's go to the exciting part now, yeah.
So, costs, Mayor, I'll let you jump in here, but
You
essentially.
can't see the whole screen, you gotta move it up or something. Is that the whole screen?
Yeah, that's the whole
Oh, okay.
screen, that's the whole
All right,
screen.
Okay.
So-
Oh, okay, here it is.
Essentially, this is essentially what's already been done, the planning and design that we've already completed. Our construction cost estimate is just short of 12 million with the contingency built in there. You'll have some services during construction, inspection, and make sure it gets installed properly and control the costs. So the grand total for the project is 14.8. Essentially, as Mayor indicated, the ARPA funds are 9.2, and the plan is to pay the balance on the TIP funds at 5.6 million.
This doesn't include the environmental model, correct? That's they
Oh,
were
yeah.
discussing as well.
So the environmental aspect of the project. We got a grant for 5 something, and it saves us money on this project by making those additional improvements. So all those numbers are included.
They are
in
built
these
into this.
numbers. Right now?
Yep. So lastly, schedule. So as the mayor indicated, we've been working with the utility companies early on. Connecticut Water, moved up their replacement. They had a plan, but they moved it up to, get it done to accommodate this project. We've been speaking with, Eversource and Eversource Gas, pretty closely, and they have plans to, make upgrades and modify their system. In particular, the gas piping will be all new plastic gas piping, the current piping, I think was cast iron. Yeah, so they're gonna put in modern plastic piping, which, be safer, long term. So those utility relocations by others are essentially already underway in preparation for this project. We are at the finish line with the design. We've got plans and specs ready to go out to bid. So the bidding time frame will be about at least a 6-week time frame. That'll bring us into the middle of August. So give yourself a month to pull a contract together, make an award, essentially, and then really sign a contract and have the contractor ready to go in early October. Now, it's likely they will not take on a large amount of work, large amount of disturbance, so they'll probably mobilize, deal with some of the things, maybe at the outlet in this first season, and that's kind of builds into what kind of extended the schedule here on our construction duration. But we're looking at starting in October 2023, and then really being substantially complete before the winter, so that at the end of the fall 2024, but that assuming they will need to come back in the spring to do button up plantings, maybe final paving, kind of button up everything in the spring of 2025.
That's good. That's aggressive. And
Well, that's good. We're running here, not to stay.
I was gonna say, you guys want to sign a train station? I know.
Yeah, it's been a aggressive schedule, but some of the things that will hold up a schedule is permits, federal permits, state permits that really weren't required, and only need local, and funding, and essentially, the borough's done a good job kind of securing that, and because at that point, it just becomes manpower. So,
Do you anticipate there'll be still any issues with obtaining materials? Are there still any problems out there?
the biggest problems we see are in some of the ductile piping, as well as in the mechanical, electrical trades. So if you really, when this was the treatment plant, and we were looking at an upgrade, we'd have bigger concerns about some of those larger electrical components.
Anyway, Neil, we found time with our treatment.
Yeah. So I mean, there is that concern. I think that we're all kind of unfortunately have been accustomed to, but the nature of the work we're doing is essentially the same as the work that you see going on here. It's concrete, pipe, paving. I think the biggest thing was probably the brick, and so we've been coordinating early with the quarries and the suppliers, let them know that this project's coming. To try to secure the volume of paver that we need, essentially.
they save those stones from the bridge for withdraw them, people.
All right, we have questions, concerns? All right, well, so let me mention the other two items and then we can go back to voting. Well, it's actually the one. So on the National Fish and Wildlife, Kleinfelder helped us receive a grant from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. And the reason we received the grant of $535,000. And the purpose of it is to improve the flow of water into the river, which goes into the ocean. Okay, so basically there are a couple of things that are included in our plan. One of which is tree filters. So all of our trees are going to have a filtering system that will improve the water quality that goes into the river. And in addition to that, and I'm going to let you explain this one, Neil, but on the green, we have by the way, most of the water from the west side runs through the green, okay? So we're putting in a subsurface infiltration system at the green that improves water quality. Beyond that, I don't know, Neil.
Yeah, so under normal rainfall, it's called, not the huge storms, so the water will flow through these treatment basins and essentially some of it will infiltrate. And you'll get a quality, so usually the first inch of rainfall is where all the pollutants are, so that'll kind of flow into this thing, and there is some maintenance required, and talk through it with Public Works, what kind of maintenance is required, but essentially it's the same type of system that you'll see that they're putting in development. So when you see commercial developments in the parking lots, you see these kind of plastic basins going in under the parking lot. So we kind of fit a system into the green that's going to provide a good level of treatment, but isn't, going to really impact what we're trying to do with the green. So in the grassed area. So it's things like this are a requirement essentially for the borough in the modern era. So anytime they're making roadway or drainage improvements, you need to be looking to include water quality improvements. So this grant was a great opportunity. This grant was a great opportunity to leverage it, to kind of incorporate it into the project. It's a net benefit to the project overall financially. And it's also the town can take credit for these water quality improvements that you're making.
So if you know the maintenance, does that mean it's going to affect our budget by $1,000 or $10,000?
It's not different than cleaning out a catch basin.
Oh, okay.
It's not.
It's not replacing filters.
You just can't ignore it, it's just the type of thing. So if you kind of include it into your regular drainage system maintenance program, it shouldn't be a significant impact on that.
Question for you. For the filtration system, besides the fact that it filters out the bad stuff, so is there any other positives to the system? Say, is there any retention or it could help with irrigation of the grass?
It probably won't help with the irrigation of the grass. So there is some retention that happens, so it will reduce the peak flows of it, which again is helpful for a very large storm. It will knock down what's actually going through the pipe, but really its main focus is water quality. So it's improving the flow that actually reaches the river.
Yeah, when you want your water the grass, it's gonna be empty.
Yes.
And dry, so true.
Like grass,
Right.
all the time.
All right, any questions from anyone on Zoom, live? Waterbury Republican American will give you a shot too. All right, thank you, Neil.
Oh, yeah, I think Bob had,
Bob has a question.
One question for the outdoor dining. Has the new restaurant Brady's approached anyone regarding being part of that outdoor dining program?
Well, aren't they have, what do they have in front of Brady's? I
Nothing.
know you spoke with them.
We say toast.
Yes.
Oh, yes. You've got a project. Yes, they got.
Yes, it's in that way.
Well, answer the question.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure what it is, but according to Jim, it's
Santos.
Santos. Yeah, so that we've expanded around the corner for them so they can increase their outdoor dining. So it's expanded
It's on Park Place.
and on Park. It's on both Church and Park. The whole corner has been expanded.
Did you talk with the fire department in regards to that tight corner coming off of Church onto Park Place?
Yeah, we closely coordinated all of our curb lines, all of our parking, all of our bump outs, hydrant locations with the fire department. And some of the you'll see that you'll eventually see some of the roadway width changes. So on the north side of Church Street, we had to maintain the existing width for basically to support the fire apparatus. As you go down the street, there's other options, parking lots for fire apparatus to gain access to the buildings. So yeah, there was close coordination with the fire department along the way.
Thank you.
Now, also from our fall meeting, you guys came to the first level of draft. There were concerns about delivery trucks, making sure our businesses can get resupplied, especially the restaurants and so
Yeah,
forth.
so we'll have zoned delivery areas, signed zone delivery areas. That, during business hours will be just for deliveries only, and then, we'll allow for parking after hours in those same locations.
What about the bus? We still gonna have the bus stop?
So where the bus stop's being moved, to,
The train station.
well, to an old Firehouse Road, there's an existing stop there. So yeah, the bus really has a challenge right now currently in sightlines and
No, we
there
know.
and delivery trucks and everything. Yeah, so that was one of the first things we met with the CT Transit, the Waterbury folks early and identified, hey, here's the issue. This is-
Oh, good, you did it already?
Yeah.
That's nice. Right away. Transit district, it's kind of a mess right now, to be honest. But
There's gonna be a nice connection between, the new relocated I think there's an existing stop there they're gonna move. That kind of fits into the development of parcel B and the connection with Church Street, so it'll be pedestrian friendly and located kind of in a good planned spot.
Okay, Charlie, why don't you read motion 4?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses instruct the Public Works Director, James Stewart, and town staff to put out to bid the plans for the downtown sanitary, stormwater, and streetscape improvement project. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, let's do item 6 and then we'll go to 5.
Got it.
we just mentioned to Nancy that, George did join the meeting.
Okay, Nancy, George Mudry has joined the meeting.
Multitask.
And
Thank
he,
you.
Voted.
Thank
Did he
you.
vote?
Yes, you go ahead.
yes, he
Okay,
voted.
he voted yes, okay.
It was a while ago.
Okay, let's do 6, then we'll do 5, then we'll do 7.
Motion that the Board of Mayor Burgesses authorize Mayor Hess to sign and accept a grant agreement with the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation for the downtown development project. Second.
Okay, just by way of discussion, it's in the memo, but I'll just say, we do have a matching requirement, but the match is being satisfied by the other money that we're putting forward. So I will be signing the papers to accept this grant. And telling them we will make the match and we'll make it with our other funds. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, item 5.
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses authorize the payment of $7,500 from the 2023 fiscal year surplus to provide supplemental funding for the Connecticut Youth Employment Program and 1 additional person for the River Brigade. Second.
All right, so when the state legislature adopted the budget, one of the things that happened that no one ever talked about or told us about was that funding was reduced for 2 our Northwest Regional Workforce Group that would have almost cut in half our summer youth employment program. I don't know if you know this, but we've already picked the kids, they've been interviewed, we got them new slots, and it was a huge, $80,000 to $90,000 problem on day 1. The legislature did some more manipulations, and then it became a $30,000 project. At which time the city of Waterbury stepped forward and made, some type of agreement or put forward something where our, shortfall now is reduced to $5,000 because in large part of the actions of the city of Waterbury. So we went from 30,000 to 5,000, and they asked me if we would fund one more person to the River Brigade of $2,500. So I said yes. So I think it's only fair that we help our partner, the city of Waterbury. So that's the background, and we want every kid to have their slot, and so that everyone who is in that program, their slot is now paid for with this additional contribution.
Is it Waterbury using like a lot of kids from Cal, including the program?
For the River Brigade, yeah, they use kids from Cal, but don't forget, they do an awful lot of work in Naugatuck.
Oh, yeah.
And it's led by Kevin Zach, and we've traditionally had 2 Naugatuck kids, so this year we'll have 3 Naugatuck kids.
Excellent program.
Thanks.
It's a good thing.
All right, any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 7.
All right. Motion to adjourn the special meeting at 7:29 PM. Second.
Questions, discussion, all those in favor?
How about some discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Done.
All those, good discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.